All right. Good afternoon. We shall begin our council meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 4, 2015. It is 4:30 in the afternoon. May I please have a roll call?
Ron Rensing.
Here.
Randy Funkert.
Here.
Brad Hent.
Here.
Greg Gills.
Here.
Zach Sawyer.
Here.
Thank you. First on our agenda is public comments. I looked around. We have none. So moving forward, our consent agenda. Any questions or comments? And if not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion. Support.
Thank you. A roll call, please.
Hent.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Thank you. And number 3, beginning new business. We will have begin our discussion now with the urban renewal plan update. Scott provided some information for us, and we'll further
We do have
explain
one
some
extra
of that.
copy here. Give this to you guys. I have one extra copy here for you guys to share. Yeah, due to some of our recent discussions in regards to urban renewal projects, what you see before you is portions of our amended and restated urban renewal plan. Basically in here, a couple of years ago, this was all updated in 2013, is where the state legislator now requires us to basically more identify, be a little more transparent on our urban renewal projects, how you plan to use tax increment financing, identify those projects. You can put some type general comments and stuff in there. Infrastructure projects are pretty straightforward as far as, those type of improvements. We had some recent discussions here in regards to, a regional event center, conference center, what have you. And speaking with Allers and Cooney Law Firm, that's generally who we use out of Des Moines. Mark Corey and Jason Comiskey. Ange and I had a conference call with him here the other day, kind of talking about what some of our future plans were, kind of taking a look at our urban renewal plan. It is their recommendation that kind of going forward here, going into the next year, we should consider updating our amended and restated urban renewal plan. Generally, if you look at the plan history here, since its kind of inception, original one was done in 1989. We've probably had 10 amendments to that plan. Going forward, if the law were to stay the same, we'd probably have to start doing this every other year, just for the fact, if you look through the plan, you probably see in there, if you go to the 4th page, which in here it's numbered as page 8, and also page 9, it lists the number of projects. And you'll see in there a majority of these projects have probably been completed in the last 2 to 3 years. The Trilogy development, the Highway 18 projects, the Downtown Streetscape project, Country Club Road, anything that used urban renewal dollars or tax increment financing, we tried to identify in this plan. Also, if you go back to the 3rd page, which is numbered in here as page 4, you see under number 8 and number 10, we had some revised amendments in 2007 to provide for recreational facilities, which would contribute to the economic development and vitality of the district. Then on number 10, we specifically talked about the funding towards the aquatic center. We put specific language in there. And this is where if we'd proceed with, an event or a regional event center or convention center, we'd want to put specific language similar to that. We'd also have to go through a public analysis process, basically garnering letters of support from different businesses, supporting that, hey, this is a benefit to the community. We see this as an economic draw to the community. At the same time, in speaking with our folks, they certainly feel it qualifies. There's language in here today that talks about, projects that help to stimulate the economic growth and stability. Projects such as that do qualify under urban renewal plans. So basically what I'm asking for from the council today is basically your support or motion that would basically allow us as staff to start working on the urban renewal plan, looking at the projects we maybe see over the next couple of years. We have a potential water tower project, not 100% sure from the financing standpoint, whether that's going to be, tax increment financing, the Runger Addition infrastructure project that we've talked about and we'll talk about in the budget today, Sheldon Crossing area, the community park area, Crossroads Industrial Park, if we extend infrastructure out in those areas, try to identify that specific language and those projects in that urban renewal plan. It's anticipated this process to kind of get the ball rolling, we're estimating probably takes 6 to 8 weeks. It would take us a couple of weeks to start working on the language, 2 to 3 weeks to probably start working on the language that we incorporate, some of the ideas, then to be brought back to the city council, give the city council the opportunity to review, take a look at that. Basically, there'd have to be 2 council meetings, approximately 30 days apart. We'd have to go through a consultation process. Basically, what that entails, we notify the other public entities, the school district, the community college, as well as the counties, to let them know that we're updating and amending our plan. We actually send them the information to make them aware of what our plan entails. They have the opportunity to come in, sit down, make comments towards the plan as well. Once again, makes it more open and transparent than what it was before. And then the city council at a final meeting would have the ultimate authority to approve and adopt the amended plan. So,
Do we have one of these for each county? Since this says Sheldon, Sioux County, do we also have a separate one that says Sheldon, O'Brien
Right.
County?
no, it's
Go to the
one
next
urban
page.
renewal plan.
Go
So
to the top and next
it
page
covers
It is on the top?
Yeah.
Oh.
it covers Sioux and
Sheldon.
O'Brien
Okay,
County.
thank you, Brad. Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
actual entire document's like 25 pages long.
Oh, okay.
I have the actual plan here. I
Thank
just
you,
took
Brad.
the excerpts of and yeah, Greg and Ron and Brad probably somewhat maybe know going through that painful process of
Yeah,
amending and restating our entire plan at that point, where we didn't have any language specific to a lot of those items, so we did spend a lot of time and work on that. So updating it shouldn't be quite as a painful process because we're familiar with how it works and what needs to be done. So
When you update it, will you remove anything from the list, or will they stay on?
I don't know. There's certain items that are in there that will probably, some of the dates and years will probably be changed.
Yep,
Like offering like tax rebates.
okay,
Some of that is allowable and whatnot and will be continued on. We'll just probably extend the dates further out. Economic development incentives that, the storefront program that we offer to the SEDC, there's language in here for different recruitment type stuff. Infrastructure improvements, the dollar amount might be changed and the years extended. But to me, I think some of the specific projects, Country Club Road, East 9th Street,
right.
unless they say not, I'm assuming we probably would remove and amend those since that
Okay.
project's completed.
All right,
But I'll render the opinion of Allers and Cooney to let us know exactly
Sure.
what needs to be done there.
what's that, Greg?
I'll make a motion, we amend the plan.
I had a question before you get
Oh,
to.
sorry.
Sorry, he was starting that.
You
I'm sorry.
mentioned something about you just have the highlights. Is that why we're missing 5, 6, and 7? Because mine jumped from.
Yeah, here's the 25 pages. I sent you, unless you want, about 10 pages is all the legal description of all the areas that are actually incorporated in our urban renewal area.
Okay.
So I did, yeah. Those are just the
Okay. That's
portions
fine.
of the pages that highlight the main portion that will be amended
Right.
and whatnot. And I can certainly, if you want to see, make
No,
a
I
whole
just wanna
copy.
make sure that
I tried to save on copies by
That's fine.
sending the highlights of it, so.
Before we
Okay,
get
any
into
other questions or discussion then? If not, then do we have a motion?
I'll make the
You'll
motion.
that. Thank you.
I'll support.
Thank you. Last request for comments or any questions? There are none. We will take a roll call, please.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 4 on our agenda is the budget discussion. We have 2 parts, the discussion on a few changes that we needed to have made. And then the second will be setting the date and time for the public hearing. So first, discussion on the budget. Scott, if you want to point those out, please.
Ann should have handed out, I think, to everybody a copy of the sheets that we changed. So I'll just kind of go through the pages that you have in front of you. The first page there, which is page number 15, and some of these are just kind of more formality changes based on the transfers in, transfers out. A portion of the way down, the transfer in under airport depreciation. Basically, that's been removed. So we're basically showing in here. We're actually waiting for a response yet from Allers and Cooney on that as well. If TIF or urban renewal dollars, and funds can be used to pay off that loan. But we are showing it in here as being paid off. So that's why you don't see a dollar amount in there being transferred into the airport depreciation. Then a little bit further down, there's a transfer in out of debt service. Once again, there's no dollar amount in there. That's basically where we paid the $32,428 was our annual payment for that. Page 16, there you see a little ways down, the transfer in sewer sinking fund, the $264,424. That's the full amount of the sewer loan that we're budgeting in there to pay off with the TIF sub-fund dollars. So now we've incorporated those dollars in. And then a couple lines further down, you see transfer in debt service TIF. The amounts changed there with the airport loan included of $1,069,324. We incorporated those dollars in being paid out of TIF. That's the only changes on that page. And then page 17, the next page, the only change there is the total dollar amount for revenues with the transfers in. $11,040,000. You go to page 11. Next page in expenditures. The very top of the page, you see there the $10,000. That's for regional transit for rides. They actually have a specific line item in budget-wise. That's why it's in here, and we'll show you the other ones where we're being paid out of. That's coming out of local option sales tax. Then you go to page 15. The next page under the rec expense budget, under contract work, just about halfway down, not quite. See a change where we put in $6,200. We added $3,000. That's for the sports complex maintenance upkeep fee.
Where is that? What page?
It's
15.
page 15 is the page at the top of the page. So if you go just about halfway down under
Yeah,
contract
62,
work,
Yep.
that's now $6,200. It's for the sports complex that was brought up. And go to page 24. Expenditures, go to the way bottom of the page. It says local option sales tax funds, capital projects. The new amount there is $123,500. This now includes the contribution to Upper Des Moines, Mid-Sioux Opportunity, and the funding for the country club, the golf course. That's all paid out of local option sales tax. This coming year. Very top page now at 26. Go all the way to page 26. Very top of the page there, you see that's the funding for the Rungers 4th edition. It says Rungers 3rd because that's how it's listed in our budget, but it's the actual 4th for the $550,000 that we've incorporated into there. And page 31, you get the transfers out.
Can we back up just a minute?
Yep.
I had down penciled in 920,000 previously, but was there another change that enters into that total from one of the previous ones?
On the Runger?
920.
We had 550,000 up top. We changed, and before it was 350,000, and then the total I had written in is at 920,000. But we're at 933,500. So where'd that extra? Is that 13.5? We maybe covered that already, but
That's the lost, the country club,
okay.
Upper Des Moines,
Mid-Sioux, and Upper
Mid-Sioux.
Des Moines.
All right, very good.
That's the bottom.
Okay, so page 31 then, is that where we were?
Yep, page 31. And you get into the transfers out, about 2/3 of the way down the page. There's a $0 amount for transfer out for the airport, because we're now doing that as an annual payment. That used to be the annual amount that was paid out of there. And then transfer out on page 32, towards the top of the page, the transfer out of TIF. The new amount there, which includes the airport and sewer loans, is now $1,676,483. And now paying off those two loans. And then about 2/3 of the way down, transfer out of sewer. That amount now changes, is reduced because we took the annual loan payment out for the sewer down to $81,667 since we're paying that note off. And then the new total on the last page there at 33 of expenses, $10,822,584.19. In the next two pages that were handed out, I won't spend really much time on these. Basically, here you'll see the notations of the transfers out for the debt for the airport loan and the sewer sinking loan payoff out of TIF. And then the following page, the transfers in, just out of the sewer sinking fund, debt service. And the last couple pages of the new project worksheets, adding in the other ones, the local option sales tax. And that's where you'll see out of local option sales tax, the payments for rides, Sheldon Country Club, Mid-Sioux Opportunity, and Upper Des Moines. So estimating, taking out from what the investment is with the estimated balance of expenditures would give us an estimated balance at the end of 15-16 of $412,292 in local option sales tax. Just to point out what we had estimated budgeted to be ending balance for the year was $340,576. So our total is actually up a little bit based on the revenues versus expenditures the last couple of years, what our ending balance is. And then just the last page there is the TIF report. And basically just what it shows on there is the airport loan payoff of $173,656 out of the TIF subfund balance, and then the sewer loan note payoff of $264,424. So that's it on the sheets. Just one other thing to bring you up to speed on as part of our conversation about the EMS position. I had a good conversation with Rick Nordahl from Sanford Health. Basically kind of talking about the position, and he's been talking to some staff over at Sanford Health as well. And a lot of times on a lot of the transfers already, if we run short or don't have someone, the hospital, either via a nurse, they actually have a couple SCAT members that actually serve on the SCAT team. They're already actually kind of providing some of that service already for the SCAT team. What Rick suggested, which I think is a great idea, that we take a look that maybe the hospital actually already kind of hires the staff or hiring this position to kind of create a position through Sanford Health in the hospital where the position's covered. And we look at a contract agreement between the city of Sheldon and Sanford for contract services to basically then maybe help pay that position. So they got the position through their benefit package, and it's already kind of set up that way. There's a lot of details, I'll be honest with you. This is a conversation we had this morning that we'd have to work out a lot more details on it. But he certainly thinks it makes a lot of sense. He says, I'm already kind of providing a lot of staff time towards it already to assist with the ambulance service, especially on the transfers part of it with nursing and depending on the care needed. Maybe there's an arrangement we can work out from the city reimbursing Sanford to cover that staff, and they would help out with some of the duties, the run reports, the stocking the ambulances, doing some of the other duties that I know in discussing with Cindy Freeman, the director, on how all those details might work out. So budget-wise, Ange and I kind of talked about this a little bit more today. I guess what we're probably going to recommend right now is leaving everything as is in the budget. The only difference is probably the benefits portion of it and how the employee benefits is set up and how that's levied for. Once that levy is set, it's set. The impact from a levy standpoint is a nickel. If we take out the benefits for that full-time position, would impact the levy to the amount of a nickel total. So if we'd levy for it this year, we would take, and let's say we work out an arrangement with Sanford and we don't need that benefits portion there next year, that would be offset and removed as part of next year's budget. Would basically, the dollar amount that's saved in there would be bought down against next year's budget. And then the wages or contract labor, that's something we're going to have to work out in-house, either through a budget amendment or changing it that way if we have to. Because right now it's set up as wages. It wouldn't be probably paid as wages. If we reach this agreement, it'd probably be paid as actual contract labor. Thoughts, questions?
All right, make it sound a lot better.
I do too.
Yeah.
Was Cindy in on that discussion at all?
She was, yep. Cindy actually met, I think she's receptive to it. Her comments to me or whatever is, I think she was concerned of how I was going to be with it. She says, please keep an open mind to it. So I think she's supportive of it and whatnot. We haven't talked in a lot of great detail since then, because I'd met with Rick and talked about it today. So certainly a lot of details. It'd be my hope here over the course of the next couple, few months, we can work out some of those details, get that contract or language or thoughts or ideas back to the city council, and we kind of start working through some of those details. And certainly, we need Cindy's input and SCAT input on how that position would work, what duties they would need to be responsible for, basically who's doing what.
Right.
The ambulance maybe sit at the hospital for some of the days from a transfer, or they driving, it's better to have it there. And he says, we have an office basically kind of dedicated for SCAT personnel. When they come here and they have a transfer, they do all their paperwork in-house.
I still feel that we should open up at least a dialogue with some of the neighboring communities about either having part of their county allocation go towards our ambulances or something to reach some kind of a financial arrangement, because I think that, the taxpayers of Sheldon shouldn't have to carry the burden for the other communities.
Sure.
So I would encourage you that you continue, or, try and open a dialogue with them and see if there's something that you can't work out with them to do that.
Yeah, and the county, I think EMS needs to be involved, because they're the one
Yeah,
where a lot of that
exactly.
funding goes through as well. So
Good. That's good to hear. From Sanford, and I think that'll be a great discussion.
So is everybody kind of receptive to that from when the budget? We'll kind of leave that in there now, knowing our budget doesn't start till July 1, and hopefully long before then we can start working through some of these details, exactly how it's going to play out, and work on some of that contract language.
Explore the options.
Good. Okay, otherwise that's all we have from the budget standpoint. If you guys are good and set with everything else, those are the only changes, I guess, that we had that were brought up as part of our budget discussion. So
Do we
big
need,
kudos and thanks to Ange for all her work on budget preparation this year. This was our first full year of from start to finish, and I think things went really well. So
you sure you don't want a vacation?
Are you offering?
Yeah. With the changes that we just made, do we need to make a motion to approve those changes before we set the public hearing date, or?
really don't. I mean, I
Okay.
don't think we usually take official action on it until
Until
we
we
actually have the
set it
public
with
hearing
public
and whatnot at
Okay.
the hearing. Those
All right.
changes will be incorporated as part of that. So.
Okay, is there any further discussion then on the budget? There is not, so we will move on to the next item, which is setting the date and time for the public hearing. And that date will be March 4, 2015 at 4:30 in the afternoon. Do we have a motion to set this date for the public hearing?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Gills.
Aye.
Funker.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Rensink.
Aye.
Thank you. And next on our agenda will be the city manager's evaluation, and we will need to go into closed session. And I will need to take.
I would request
you
closed session,
that?
please.
Scott is requesting a closed session, so do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll move that.
Support.
Thank you, and do we have a roll call?
Funkert.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Rensink.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll now go into closed session, and we do ask that everyone please step out.